Minister, the need for additional provision at second level in South Kildare is something that I've raised in this House on a number of occasions before, and I know you're well used to me raising this point with you. We were very disappointed in South Kildare at the last announcements of new schools that we didn't secure one for South Kildare, and we still believe, notwithstanding proposed extensions, that there is the significant demographic pressures we face in our county and the future projections of the growth of the population in our county, that we will need a new secondary school in the future. And I just want an assurance or reassurance that the department continue to keep this under review.
2 minutes.
Absolutely assure the Deputy that we will keep it under review. I mean, the process has been conducted in a fair and objective way right across the country, and it's taken a 4-year horizon in terms of the projected needs based on demography, based on local authority plans and so on. I suppose it has to be borne in mind that often extra school places are delivered by extending existing schools. It isn't always the case that an area's needs has to be met by establishing new schools. While in the case of South Kildare, the announcement didn't include a new post-primary school, there is additional capacity in the region of 1,700 school places will be provided when projects in 4 areas are completed: St Conleth's, Athy Community College, Crossenpassion in Kilcullen, and St Paul's Secondary School in Monstreven. A building project for the Patrician College in Newbridge is also included in the 6-year construction programme. However, I can assure you that in line with the ongoing review of school planning areas generally, I can confirm my department is currently reviewing provision at post-primary level across the school planning areas in South Kildare area, and it is envisaged that work in this regard will be completed in the coming weeks.
Deputy Heydon has 1 minute.
Thank the Minister for his response. The Minister, the new school committed to for St Paul's in Monstreven, which has seen plenty of delays in the past, and not all of which was within the department's fault, and I think we're united and combined now in getting that school delivered as quickly as possible, is badly needed, because we have pupils at present travelling from Monstreven out of Monstreven to go to different towns because there just isn't enough capacity in St Paul's, and conditions in St Paul's that both pupils and students are dealing with at present isn't good enough. The extensions you reference are absolutely needed. Athy Community College, Crossenpassion, Kilcullen, St Conleth's and Newbridge should be online in the autumn, and Patrician's post-primary, they badly need that extension. Those extensions are actually needed very, very quickly, and I would ask that some consideration will be given to those extensions that are at the start of their planning process, that maybe they could be included in the rapid build scheme, because they really are needed very, very quickly. But this additional capacity, when it's delivered, will still have schools that will still have pressure on spaces, and there is future very significant growth plans under Project Ireland 2040 for South Kildare, and I think we'll still see the department need to accept there is going to be ongoing pressure on spaces into the future beyond those extensions.
I think to be fair, the Deputy and I know deputies across the House have made the point about the pressure in areas like South Kildare, I think these decisions have to be kept under close review, because the population pressures and plans they are changing quite rapidly, and we recognise that. I think an undertaking is being given that South Kildare in particular will be examined, because it is one where the pressures are very significant, and I have the data there. It does establish that. Obviously that work has to be done before we can draw any conclusions.
Final supplementary.
Just at a final point, Minister, to say there's 2 key elements. There's an Educate Together campaign that I know you're familiar with, that has petitions signed by over 2,500 people in South Kildare, and those people want and need increased provision of choice of education at second level in South Kildare, and that's very important. And I know decisions after a decision is made that there's capacity needed for a new school, decisions around patronage are made later, but we do have challenges. We have challenges challenges in how education is delivered at second level in South Kildare, and we have schools exist even after all the extensions are built. We'll have schools like the Curragh Post-Primary that is Dickensian in its, on the Curragh camp in its conditions at the minute, that is not fit for purpose. And I would feel that, you know, when we talk about a new school building, we could just as easily be talking about a new school building for the Curragh Post-Primary as opposed to a brand new standalone. And maybe there's even the potential, I've raised this in the House previously, because I think the Department of Defence are open to looking at other site options, because they are co-patrons with the two primary schools in the Curragh camp as well. But we could even be looking at, you know, a shared partnership model between the Educate Together and the ETB with a brand new Curragh Post-Primary. But at present, you know, nobody in the Department of Education can accept that the conditions that the pupils in Curragh Post-Primary are attending are good enough. So we have that, but we have, and that could be a solution to the overall demographic pressures that we continue to highlight. So I would just ask that the Department will continue to bear that all in mind when they keep a very close eye on South Kildare, and I'll continue to raise this here because I really believe we need our new school for South Kildare.
You know, I'll ask the Department to particularly look at those elements. Clearly, if we can accommodate a number of improvements in one project, we certainly would see merit in that. Though, as I was saying to Deputy Bernard Durkin, we have set aside in the more medium term very substantial money for a deep refurbishment and retrofit of our older schools, because we recognise that that's going to be a challenge that we have to meet over the next decade.